All right, well, California Congressman, current House Minority Leader, and soon-to-be Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, joins us now. Leader McCarthy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on your show. It's an honor.
You bet. I'm tired of this. You know, pay their fair share. We're going to make this leveling the playing field. The left keeps sending the message that this helps the middle class. Tell our viewers why that's just not true.
It's just not true in every end, because one thing you'll find is he lied about that he wouldn't raise taxes on those who have a lower income than $400,000. We've now find from the joint taxation that $30,000 being earned, you will get your taxes raised. He's creating greater inflation when there's more $5 trillion. That's a tax on all Americans. You know who wins in this tax bill? China. The global minimum tax is going to make companies in America leave America because it's a tax advantage to be somewhere else. And then he's just the wokeism of this tax bill. It's redistribution of wealth. He punishes the businesses that he dislikes to move it to someplace that he does. So if you're a creator of energy, that you make America energy independent, he punishes you. But if you make $800,000, he gives you a reward for buying Tesla and sending your child to Yale. This isn't about real working Americans, because right now we've found, and you know this better than anybody else, Sean, the Trump administration was able to lower your taxes, get more people working, and let America compete on the world stage. He's making every corporation that China could have a better ability to compete against us.
Exactly.
Leader McCarthy, a coalition of Republican foreign policy leaders today in Congress is demanding that the Biden administration turn over all internal documents and communications that's related to plans to provide the Taliban with cash assets. And a move the coalition is saying would incentivize this group to take more American hostages. Do you support their effort?
I do. And not just there. We need to go much further. Think about this. On August 19th, President Biden told us he would not leave Afghanistan until every single American was out. But lo and behold, a couple weeks later, he left with no plan to get those Americans home. That tells us everything we need to know about the Biden administration. They will leave you behind. But the other thing is, we need an accounting of all the weaponry provided to the Taliban. They now have an air force larger than 1/3 of our NATO allies. They have more Black Hawks than Australia. This weaponry that they have now, either they will utilize it or they will sell it to our adversaries, Iran, China, or Russia. And then, keeping Americans there, they're being held to ransom. Is this Biden administration? One, no cash for it. Another item was, we cannot recognize this government.
Yes, exactly. And I'm glad to hear you guys are doing all this, because it's unbelievable that they're trying to turn the corner and do everything to distract from that. But there was a big victory today for the right. A grand jury indicted Michael Sussman on charges of lying to the FBI in connection with the Durham investigation. He was one of Clinton's lawyers that was part of creating the whole Russian hoax narrative. How big is this indictment to undermine that narrative?
I think it's very big. I just wish it could have come even sooner. But it goes to the foundation of what they tried to do to the Trump administration. Create the lies, talk about Russia, why President Trump was out getting America working again. And now we have the Biden administration. They turned their back on so many things. You talked about this a little earlier. Think about this. More than 200,000 people just last month came across the border illegally. More than 60,000 of those were not from Central America, from another country. Earlier this year, we were catching people on the terrorist watch list from Yemen. And now what the Biden administration did when they gave up Bagram, they also had a prison there keeping 5,000 of some of the worst people, ISIS-K. They are now free. They know how to come into America because Biden has opened up this border. This is one of the biggest problems we have going forward.
Exactly.
I want to talk to you about the debt limit, because the government is about to hit it in a few short days here. This has traditionally been a bipartisan effort, but today House Majority Whip James Clyburn said this. Watch.
That's a debt that was incurred by the previous administration that we have now got to pay for. And I'm glad that the Democrats are willing to belly up to the bar and pay for it.
Well,
Leader
first of
McCarthy,
all, he's not telling the truth.
where do you stand on the debt ceiling?
I'm not voting for the debt ceiling because, first of all, Clyburn is not telling the truth. We have paid for everything the Trump administration spent, plus 7 months into this administration in August. Now, this new Congress wants to spend more than $5.5 trillion. $5.5 trillion, which will only make inflation grow faster. But in that money they want to spend, they don't want to pay for the debt ceiling. This is not going to make America stronger. It's going to make us weaker. And do they have any communication to work together on those spending of what they do? No. So if they want to spend this type of money, and put it in perspective, America spent $5 trillion to win World War II. Now they want to spend and make us pretty much break us because it's much higher than the GDP of America. They have to borrow this money. It'll raise interest rates on every American. The inflation that has already been created by their mismanagement and spending is a tax on every single American. And now they want to tell you a lie that somehow they're paying for the Trump administration. No, they're not. The Trump administration has already been paid for. And what did the Trump administration do? Give us the lowest unemployment, make us strong around the world, the Abraham Accords. And now this new administration, not only inflation, an open border, our cities and streets are not safe, and the wokeism that's going around, this has become a real challenge, and now just created the Taliban to have a stronger military than they had 20 years ago.
Can I ask, the thing that I don't get, this is silly. Nancy Pelosi has a majority. She's Speaker of the House. Yeah. Steny Hoyer's Majority Leader because they have a majority. The Senate is controlled by Democrats. They have the votes, and President Biden is a Democrat. Why do they care? They're obsessed with Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell and how you guys are going to vote. They can do this without you.
You are correct, Sean, 100%. They have the House, the Senate, and the White House. But they want to play games with this and play politics, just as they do with everything else. If they want us to add another $5 trillion in debt to the American public just for their Green New Deal, they should vote for it if that's really what they think is best. We know it's not best for America. We want to balance our budget, pay off our debt, and let people keep more of what they earn.
Well, I want to turn now to the latest in the General Mark Milley saga, with him telling his Chinese counterpart that we were not going to bomb them. Are Republicans willing to get to the bottom of this? What are you willing to do?
Yes, we have to get to the bottom. I think you're head of the Joint Chiefs, that you would call another nation without talking to a president and say that you would give them a heads up. Now, if that is true, that comes to the question of whether he could stay in the job. But there's more to this. Remember what Milley did. He started in this new administration to make our military woke, the books that he was requesting them to read. I don't think the Taliban cared about that. And then we just watched his actions within Afghanistan itself, the failures of what went forward there. And now what we're alleging, what we're hearing here, we need to get to the bottom of all of this.
You know, Leader McCarthy, I want to ask you this. I literally, every time I have a conversation with a grassroots activist on the right, they say, you know what, if Republicans take back the majority, what are they going to do? Are they going to fight? What I hear them saying to me is, are they going to impeach Biden? Are they going to impeach Blinken? Are they going to use that majority for something? And then, specifically, are they going to treat the Democrats the way, frankly, the disrespectful way they treated you by not allowing you to have your picks on the January 6th commission? That was unprecedented in history, and the press let it happen. So I'll ask you point blank, Mr. Leader, hopefully Mr. Speaker, when that happens, will you remove people like Eric Swalwell from the Intelligence Committee?
You know, I'll remove Eric Swalwell from the Intelligence Committee, not just because you think someone dislikes him for his politics. I'll remove him because his association with a Chinese spy. Remember, Eric Swalwell in the private sector could not get a clearance, but Speaker Pelosi puts him on the committee that you learn all the secrets, which other members do not know, after knowing of a relationship with a Chinese spy. She has 200 other people that can serve in that position. Why would she allow him to be on there? And Omar, on foreign affairs, I don't believe that's the appropriate place for her either.
I can't tell you how much that warms my heart, because I think Republicans and conservative activists are ready to say, we're done playing nice. We're going to treat them the way they treated us. I got one last question for you. And this one, I need a yes. When you become Speaker, I know Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan have been fighting hard to allow Newsmax to be on the House internal cable system. As Speaker, will you ensure that viewers, House members, and staff members can watch Newsmax?
They should be watching it already, but if that is the moment they're not there yet, yes, they will be.
That's awesome. Mr. Leader, thank you very much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you on that journey to Speaker.
Thank you, and I appreciate all the work you're doing. Take care.
You bet.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.